I got a question recently where somebody asked, she has been diagnosed with osteopenia. Is it possible to reverse osteopenia with nutrition? Absolutely. It is possible we can reverse osteopenia with nutrition. But before we talk about what nutrition is necessary for bone health in menopause, let's talk about the differences between osteopenia and osteoporosis. Osteopenia is a warning sign. It's a sign that says that your bones are getting weak, and if you do not do anything, you will get to osteoporosis. In many cases, osteopenia is not even treated with medication. The doctor might tell you to treat it with nutrition. They might also recommend some supplements, and then they will obviously most of the time tell you to get into an exercise program. So there is time, if you've been diagnosed with osteopenia, to do something about it. Consider osteopenia as a warning sign. Now, if you don't heed that warning sign, then it will get into osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is when your bones are weak and you don't have enough bone density, and your risk for fractures is higher, risk for falls is higher. So in that case, it's maybe a little bit far too gone sometimes, and the doctors need to treat you with medication and obviously supplementation, nutrition, and an exercise program. So what are the nutrients that you need for bone health in menopause? Most of the time you will hear people being told, get your calcium. But calcium alone is not enough. In fact, too much calcium can be problematic, because if you have too much calcium in the body and it is not going into your bones, it goes into the arteries and creates calcification in the arteries, so creating a problem for the cardiovascular system. So calcium alone is not enough. Now, you get calcium from dairy foods, you get calcium also from leafy greens, but you want to get your calcium, but there are also more nutrients. And nutrient number one that you need to be getting is vitamin K2. Now, vitamin K2 is what drives calcium into the bones. So vitamin K2, we get it from fermented foods like natto. We also get it from egg yolks. We also get it from liver. That is required. The next nutrient that is required is vitamin D. Vitamin D increases calcium absorption, especially in the intestines. And you get that from fatty fishes. You also get it from the sun if you're in a sunny country. But for most people, they need to supplement with vitamin D to be able to get that into the body. Most of us are vitamin D deficient, especially if we live in a country where we have winters. We're not getting enough sunshine. So we do need most probably to supplement with vitamin D. Now, there is another nutrient that is needed, and that is magnesium. Magnesium is actually a bone building block. 60% of the magnesium that we have in our body is stored in the bones. So magnesium is stored directly in the bones, 60% of it. But magnesium also plays another role. It helps to convert vitamin D into the active form, which is D3, that our body can use. Magnesium is also required to drive calcium and K2 into the bones. It helps the absorption of calcium and K2, and obviously vitamin D. So we need that. Now, we can get magnesium from things like from leafy greens. We also get it from nuts and seeds, avocados, dark chocolate and nuts and seeds all have magnesium. And in many cases, most people also have to supplement with magnesium, because most of us don't have it. Especially women in menopause are mostly magnesium deficient. Now, if you're going to supplement with magnesium, there are many forms of magnesium. So I'm going to put in the caption below the types of magnesiums and what they help with. So which magnesium is good for bone, which magnesium is good for sleep, because most people in menopause are deficient. Another vitamin that we don't talk about mostly that is needed for bone health is vitamin A. But we don't take vitamin A directly. We want to get it from our food. And the foods that are the highest with vitamin A is egg yolks. And that helps also with the absorption of all the nutrients into the bones. We need our omega-3s, especially DHA, that is needed for the bones. Now, other supplements, other nutrients that we need, you can get them from food, are zinc, boron, and copper. And all those, we can get those from our nutrients. So I'm going to put in the caption where you can get them from your nutrients. Now, apart from that, we also need adequate protein. Protein helps us to build bones, but one other thing that protein does, it helps us to build muscle. Muscle, good quality, lean muscle mass is necessary to contract and help those bones build. We can't build bones if we do not have that contraction to stimulate the bones to build. So when your muscles contract, which is when you have good lean muscle mass, then your bones are forced to create and remodel. Remember that bone is living tissue. It's not static. We tend to think bone is something dead. No, it is always regenerating itself. But we need the nutrition. We also need good muscle quality. We need protein. And to that, we have to add resistance training. We cannot protect our bones if we do not have good protein, if we do not have all the other nutrients, and if we do not build muscle. We need to build muscle to be able to protect our bones. And you hear all the time people saying, but I walk, and I do yoga, and I do Pilates. All those are very good things. They're good for you. Walking is very good for you, especially for mental health. Walking is also very good for your cardiovascular system. And then things like yoga, they are very good for mental health. They're very good for stretching. They're good for mobility, but they do not build bones. And women in menopause, we have to start changing our mindset. This idea that yoga, swimming, walking is going to help us build bone is not true. We do not build bones with those. We have to do resistance training. With that resistance training, we have to get adequate protein. You need about 30 grams of protein at every meal. And actually, I would go as far as saying that women in menopause need about 40 grams of protein per meal. And then we need to do that resistance training. And then we look at all the other nutrients that I have mentioned that we need for that bone building material to be driven into our bones. I hope that helps. So check the caption below. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so that you can get more information about menopausal health, and share this with somebody else who is in menopause. Let me also know if you have any questions. Thank you.